Why I mostly connect to films which are not hit, Like this, I was talking so much about Irada.
Okay. I was meaning to talk to you about it.
Did you watch the whole film?
I did because you referred it to me, and I did watch it from a point of view that I was already leaning towards appreciating it. And no doubt it is a good, decent effort in content cinema. More such efforts should be made. But if you were to identify who was the protagonist in that story,
Nasiruddin Shah.
okay, let's take Nasruddin Shah's journey. Here's a father who lost his daughter over some random act which he couldn't have controlled. Then he spent some time, almost a year, following the people he thought are responsible for this. So it was very personal battle. He wasn't doing it for social good or humanity's sake and all that. It was very personal thing, right? Someone killed his family, and he wanted to avenge the death of his daughter. And his whole plan revolved around a man committing suicide and leaving his family behind. Does that make for a good hero?
I think it does because I absolutely loved it.
Of course, he loved it. There is no doubt about it. I myself am saying it's a good effort. I'm saying if you see it, isolate the hero's journey, he's set out to punish the people who unknowingly were responsible for killing his daughter. They were not planning to kill his daughter. They were corrupt people who indulged in corrupt activities, which led to a chain of reaction that led to the death of his daughter.
But not only his daughter, it led to many.
Understood. But this was the thing, they were not set out to kill his daughter. What did Nasruddin Shah do consciously? He blackmailed someone, he hired a scamster and another person and wove a story around them, plan, and he forced an innocent man to commit suicide and leave his young wife and child behind. All for what? To avenge his daughter's death. Do you see that as the character one would idolize? Because an hero is supposed to be someone we can relate as well as idolize.
No, see, you asked me who was the protagonist, not.
No. From this definition, does it make sense?
No, it doesn't make sense.
Okay.
It doesn't.
Okay.
But I'm now again talking according to the craft that he is the protagonist, carries the story forward.
Mm-hmm.
So he was carrying the story forward, but he wasn't the hero for me. The hero for me was
Okay.
Arjun.
Okay. If we see that Nasruddin Shah was carrying the story forward, the audience never saw anything he did. Okay. After his child's death, there was a 1 year jump. And then the only thing the audience saw him doing was attending party and chasing after a criminal and quoting certain words that he knows. The audience never saw him taking the trouble of researching. The audience never saw him putting together a plan. Okay. For an audience to get invested in a visual medium, they need to see things, right? A one sentence exposition could be easily missed. Okay. Now, it's not even there in the end. So it's this not his journey that is continued. His journey gets cut short because it's not part of the story. A story is following a hero's journey, and hero should be there from the beginning of the till the end at least. Now, if we look at Arshad Varsi, he was a capable cop, but just trying to get by. He was corrupt enough to bow down to people of power, flatter them to get his way, so that he can be close to his family. Very self-engrossed, self-involved character who had no big motive of saving humanity or anything. Now, there's the person, reporter who comes and gives him all the proofs, but he doesn't pay attention to it. There's a criminal that he identifies is involved, but he gets attached, and for the sake of humanity, because he understands the story of this criminal, and then he helps this criminal get away, and then he uses whatever the reporter has given him to capture the criminals, knowing fully well that whatever he has done is pointless. He's not a driven hero. He didn't come there with a goal. He was not there in the beginning of the story. The story had started way before he had made an entry, and he was inconsequential in the flow of events because he didn't change much.
So basically, you're saying that this story didn't follow the proper structure.
No, I'm just saying to identify who is the real hero of the story.
Arshad Varsi.
How?
Then who?
Now look at the reporter. Okay. She's someone whose boyfriend was killed, and she's a journalist. She's not someone from a rural world who has not seen city life or something. She's a journalist, a person from a media who understands the corruption of the society and the system. Her boyfriend is killed. She's smart enough to get footage of this criminal activity, and stupid enough to actually barge into a party and publicly challenge the criminal. Let's say that we can write it off as an emotional reaction. Fine, she gathered the information. In a world and time when she was using drone to gather evidence, she didn't use technology to expose these criminals. She gave all the files to one guy whom she has never met before, who she has no clue about. You understand? And if you look at the first meeting that she was practicing before meeting this guy, it seemed like she was preparing for a date. And it was intentionally done so for what? I don't know. There was the scene of her like practicing. Hello, I'm this, I want to.
Yeah, that I remember.
Now,
Which I thought was
someone who is driven by a strong motive would be indulged in how the other person would care. I think.
Yeah, lame.
Now, there's also a bathroom scene of the Nasruddin Shah's daughter, which was out of the blue. Okay. There was a beautiful transition of the girl's death. But for that, they used a jar which was never established before. It was suddenly there in one scene. There was a beautiful moment. That was a good transition. If you see, there was this character, a reporter, who was driven but didn't have the sensibility to fight the battle. There was Nasruddin Shah, who had the sensibilities but didn't have the strength to fight the battle. And there was Arshad Varsi, who had the strength and smartness but didn't have the motivation. So these were the heroes presented to the audience. Who will they root for? Whose journey will they follow? Who will they vote for?
See, now that I think about it, again, this is how we are talking that the hero's journey, you need to root for the
Forget the journey.
Okay, forget the journey. For me, now that like I told you, I was.
But which character is rootable? Forget everything.
None, maybe none. But for me, what was the hook point of the story? Maybe now, given not all these people, because I didn't know at that time, I was stunned at the kind of things that are happening in Punjab. And
Understood.
we don't know. That was it. For
Understood.
Me
that was the awe point. And the audience credited whatever points they credited to this project based on that novelty of that information, which was probably not given to them by the news media.
Yes.
Okay. But that is a noble moral, noble thought and everything. Someone decided to make a film on that from a content cinema point of view. Very noble thought, all the morality kept aside, strictly from
Story point.
storytelling point of view.
Bad storytelling.
I think this got screwed at the point of writing as well as direction. Why? Because
Direction, definitely.
why would in a film like this, the director want a scene of a nude girl in the bathroom just to confirm that she has lung cancer?
See, again, now, I don't remember seeing this scene.
Okay.
What I just remember of the movie was
No, my point is, why would the director project a driven reporter who has just lost her boyfriend being so conscious about meeting another man?
Yeah, I understand.
I think the project got screwed because of the lack of clarity on the writers and the director. Although yes, they knew that they had a trump card because they were making a film on a social subject. But they relied entirely on that to sell the project.
Yeah, I now see, I now agree also to whatever you're saying, because again, I haven't seen Godfather in the past, what, 2, 3 years maybe? The last I saw maybe was 2, 3 years ago. But still, I remember each and every scene, I remember each and everybody's acting, I remember, 80% of the book. So that's the impact. Good writing, good direction, good everything.
Yeah, because it leaves an impact.
Yes. This film I watched probably 5, 6 months ago, and now so many scenes like you talked about the new scene, I don't reconnect at all.
See, I got disconnected at various levels because, see, I'll tell you what. None of this. There's a scene where the reporter comes and tells Arshad Dwarsi that I was the one who actually bought all the documents to you. Why would you put people up to tail me? I didn't see that scene. Even if it was shown, I don't know. It didn't register in my head. So for me, that just because someone is saying it on the screen, I have to believe that Arshad Dwarsi actually did that. Now, I don't see Nasruddin Shah finding the bug that Arshad Dwarsi put. None of the great things that would have made me believe that this old man can actually exact a revenge on his enemies were not shown. They were verbalized.
I think for me, that was it. What you said, the social thing that they were trying to show, it was a shock for me because it was something that I didn't know.
See, the audience is very lenient. Audience is often very lenient. If they like one thing, they'll applaud for the entire project. That's the beauty of it. And they are also very strict. If you don't please them, then they'll screw up.
Yeah, but now I want to like, because I completely believe what you're saying, and if I go and watch it and critically, yeah, maybe I may not like it.
Forget the writing and the direction. If I were in the PR team of this project, I would have still salvaged the marketing aspect of it, not the filmmaking aspect of it, because it's done. I would have said the enemy that we are showing is a faceless corporation, is the greed of humans, the inhumanity. So we couldn't bring forward one character to represent the whole of humanity. We brought three characters. One who is all brain, one who is all emotion, and one, as the character rightly says, is the balancer. These three together represent the common individual who has to step up to face this faceless corporation and exact a revenge, teach them a lesson. That was the message my film is trying to give you. Then, of course, you could make sense out of it.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
You take Nasruddin Shah and Arshad Warsi out of this project.
Bad. But that's exactly what I'm
So that was the only right decision from casting point of view to sell this project, because the audience comes with a preconceived affection towards this character.
That's how I also went, and I absolutely loved the both of them. Even if now I go and see what some scenes that I remember which don't make sense, I think I like them because of the way they portray them. So good actors can even make a bad script look good.
See, I didn't even get to see Arshad Wasi's family. Let's say that was not the track I wanted, the filmmakers wanted to pursue. But then that they dwelled into it more than one scene. If that was not the track, why not? If the whole idea of that phone call was to humanize the cop, there was no doubt about it in the first place. He was human right from the beginning. So that aspect could have been completely checked out for me. Okay. He could have once said, okay, I have a family and I would go back once I done. I would have, as an audience, taken him as a dedicated person at a high post. The girls' bathroom scene could have been checked out. The reporters blushing and preparing for a meeting could have been checked out. And a lot of extra stays in the movie could have been checked out. In place of all that, I would have actually shown a hero do something for the audience to see it.
Yeah. I don't want my group to be the Arshad Wasi, so I have to start thinking.
See, end of the day, if you are putting a character in a story, the character has to serve a purpose, must do something, should influence the story in some way, but not just words, right? Not just dialogue, by actions, intentions.
True.